right now from the News Now desk, Governor Tony Evers is signing the 2023 to 2025 biennial budget. The governor said with his line item vetoes, the budget will make, quote, historic investments in communities. So let's take a look at some of those main points. This is happening right now. The governor is answering questions from the media about his budget proposal, now signing into law that budget. Some of those points include investment into local communities, including a minimum 20% increase in shared revenue for most municipalities, funding for general transportation aids, support for Wisconsin farmers, over $1 billion for K through 12 schools, $525 million to expand affordable housing in the state, and access to clean water. We will continue to listen in to that press conference happening right here in Madison at the Capitol. Governor Evers will then travel to make visits to Green Bay and Bangor, Wisconsin. We will bring you updates from the News Now desk on the biennial budget once we get that information.